Welcome to Gurong Pinoy International. I am Mr. Renz Flores and I will be your presenter for this review session in music, arts, PE and health. In order for us to navigate smoothly with our review session, please take time to read the following instructions. The questions and choices will be presented on the screen, and after which, the correct answer will be highlighted. Most of the questions provides a follow-up explanation after each item. You may want to use the pause button once in a while to digest the information on each item. Take note of questions or topics that you feel needs further discussion. If you have questions and needing clarifications, email me using the address on the screen. Good luck and enjoy! It is one of the psychological aspects of physical education that favors the teaching of skills and provides opportunities to practice to master skills. This is A. Stimulus theory, B. Surplus energy, C. Reaction theory, D. Cognitive theory. The correct answer is letter A. Stimulus theory. Positive reinforcement is rewarding the correct response with praise or a treat. This strengthens the stimulus or the response bond, making this response more likely to be repeated in the same situation in the future. Stimulus response theory is a concept in psychology that refers to the belief that behavior manifests as a result of the interplay between stimulus and response. In what year that physical education was made a required subject in the curriculum in the public schools? A. 1969, B. 1920, C. 1973, D. 1982. The correct answer is letter B. 1920. Republic Act number 5708 or the Schools Physical Education and Sports Development Act of 1969 also provide that integrated physical education and school sports and physical fitness program shall remain part of the basic education curriculum and shall be undertaken by the Department of Education. One of the pioneers of physical education believes that physical education is an aid to the growth and development of the pupils. A. Johann Basedow, B. Adolf Spies, C. Frederick Ludwig Jahn, D. Frederick Gotts Moths. The correct answer is letter A. Johann Basedow. Johann Bernhard Basedow was a German educational reformer, teacher, and writer. He founded the Philanthropinum, a short-lived but influential progressive school in Dessau, and was the author of Elementary Work, a popular illustrated textbook for children. It is a theory of play declaring that human beings have an instinctive tendency to be active at various stages of their lives. A. Social contract theory, B. Recapitulation theory, C. Instinct theory, D. Self-expression theory. The correct answer is letter C. Instinct theory. According to the instinct theory of motivation, all organisms are born with innate biological tendencies that help them survive. This theory suggests that instincts drive all behaviors. What Republic Act states the following statement? The state shall promote and maintain equality access to education as well as the enjoyment of benefit by its entire citizen. Republic Act A. 7277, B. 874, C. 7394, D. 344. The correct answer is Batas Pambansa number 232 of 1982 states that the state shall promote the right of every individual to relevant quality education, regardless of sex, age, creed, socio-economic status, physical and mental conditions, racial or ethnic origin, political or other affiliation. The state shall therefore promote and maintain equality of access to education as well as the enjoyment of the benefits of education by all of its citizens. Design is the artist's means of sharing and expressing his ideas. Which of the following principles of design shows adaptation of elements to each other? A. Variety, B. Rhythm, C. Balance, D. Harmony. The correct answer is letter D. Harmony. Harmony is visually satisfying effect of combining similar or related elements. Harmony in a painting or design helps bring out unity. All harmony and no contrast, however, can become monotonous. A balance must be struck between areas of harmony and areas of contrast. Which of the following sculptural materials is shaped, glazed, and baked? A. Terracotta, B. Bronze, C. Stone, D. Casting. The correct answer is letter A. Terracotta. Terracotta is a type of earthenware, is a clay-based, unglazed, or glazed ceramic, where the fired body is porous. Fine examples of terracotta sculpture is the Terracotta Army of China. Which of the following types of architectural columns is the most simple, no base, and grooved shaft commonly seen on the Parthenon and Temple of Hephaestus? A. Ionic, B. Doric, C. Corinthian, D. Tuscan. The correct answer is letter B. Doric. An order in architecture is a certain assemblage of parts subject to uniform established proportions regulated by the office that each part has to perform. Coming down to the present from ancient Greek and ancient Roman civilizations, the architectural orders are the styles of classical architecture, each distinguished by its proportion and characteristic profiles and details, and most readily recognizable by the type of column employed. The three orders of classical architecture are Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian. Philippine architecture includes 5 types of bahay kubo. Which of the following types is the most adaptive to low temperatures and rains? A. Tree house, B. Bahay na bato, C. Ifugao House. D. Torogan. The correct answer is letter C. Ifugao House. Similar to studio-type condominium units, the Ifugao House is a multifunctional one-room shelter where the entire family, father, mother, and prepubescent children live, sleep, cook, and eat. Built by local carpenters called munhabats, these houses are architectural wonders of their own. It is an element of arts relative to the degree of lightness and darkness of colors. A. Light and shadow. B. Value. C. Form. D. Volume. The correct answer is B. Value. Value defines how light or dark a given color or hue can be. Values are best understood when visualized as a scale or gradient from dark to light. The more tonal variance in an image, the lower the contrast. Who is the pioneer of modern Filipino architecture and designed the Quiapo Church? A. Francisco Miñosa. B. Juan Nakpil. C. Tomas Mapua. D. Juan Arellano. The correct answer is letter B. Juan Nakpil. Juan Felipe de Jesus Nakpil, known as Juan F. Nakpil, was a Filipino architect, teacher, and a community leader. In 1973, he was named as one of the national artists for architecture. He was regarded as the Dean of Filipino architects. He was one of the architects who worked on the restoration of the Quiapo Church. Who designed the Manila Metropolitan Theater? A. Leandro Locsin. B. Aurelio Tolentino. C. Juan Arellano. D. Teodoro Agoncillo. The correct answer is letter C. Juan Arellano. The Manila Metropolitan Theater is a Philippine Art Deco building found near the Mehan Garden, located on Padre Burgos Avenue, corner Arrocheros Street, near the Manila Central Post Office. It was designed by architect Juan M. Arellano and inaugurated on December 10, 1931. Having completed comprehensive restoration, presently the Manila Metropolitan Theater opens its doors to the public once again. Who composed the art song and danza Dahil Sa'yo? A. Francisco Santiago. B. Hernani Cuenco. C. Mike Velarde. D. Bonifacio Abdon. The correct answer is letter C. Mike Velarde. Dahil Sa'yo is a song by Mike Velarde Jr. written in 1938 for the movie Pituing Marikit and sung by Rogelio de la Rosa. A version with English-Tagalog lyrics, recorded in 1964, was a hit in the United States and continues to be popular in Filipino communities on American soil. Who among the following is a member of the Triumvirate and the father of modern Filipino painting? A. Victorio Idades. B. Cesar Legazpi. C. Hernando Ocampo. D. Jose Joya. The correct answer is letter A. Victorio Idades. Victorio Idades was a Filipino painter. He led the revolutionary 13 moderns who engaged their classical compatriots in heated debate over the nature and functions of art. He was named a national artist in 1976. Ang Kyukok is A. Painter. B. Sculptor. C. Choreographer. D. Musician. The correct answer is letter A. Painter. Ang Kyukok was a Filipino painter known for his expressive, cubist-like works. He often chose dynamic or disturbing subject matter, frequently depicting rabid dogs, crucifixions, and screaming figures in an abstracted, geometric style. From which province the folk song Pasigin came from? A. Ilocos. B. Iligan. C. Capiz. D. Bulacan. The correct answer is letter C. Capiz. Pasigin is a fishnet used by the Capisnon. In the hands of a skilled fisherman, a pasigin assures food for the family. The playful imagination of the Filipinos created the pasigin dance, using movements of excited fishermen scooping after schools of fish. Intricate footwork and dexterous swishing, swashing, scooping, and sifting gave the pasigin the chase and run character. The pasigin song and dance would have been an ordinary and playful song and dance had it not been for a comic relief where at the end, the ring net reveals a hole big enough for the fish to escape. Composo is one of the well-known music narratives of the Philippines. This unique musical heritage is from what island group? A. Luzon. B. Visayas. C. Palawan. D. Mindanao. The correct answer is letter B. Visayas. Composo is a narrative or sometimes a ballad which is meant to be sung and was used for mass communication during the Spanish era. In Chinese art and history, which dynasty accepted only scholars and philosophers as royal court painters? A. Tang Dynasty. B. Han Dynasty. C. Han Dynasty. D. Shang Dynasty. The correct answer is letter A. Tang Dynasty. The Tang Dynasty is famous for its territorial expansion, its great cities and palaces, its flourishing foreign trade, arts, literature, and religious life, and for the luxurious lives of its aristocrats. Who was the first director of the University of the Philippines School of Fine Arts? A. Juan Luna. B. Jose Rizal. C. Damian Domingo. D. Fabian de la Rosa. The correct answer is letter D. Fabian de la Rosa. Don Fabian de la Rosa y Cueto was a Filipino painter. He was the uncle and mentor to the Philippines' national artist in painting Fernando Amorsolo and to his brother Pablo. He is regarded as a master of genre in Philippine art. Where was a balangay boat excavated and was the first wooden watercraft excavated in Southeast Asia? A. Agusan. B. Butuan. C. Iligan. D. Dapitan. The correct answer is letter B. Butuan. Balangay, also spelled barangay, is a type of lushed log boat built by joining planks edge to edge using pins, dowels, and fiber lashings. They are found throughout the Philippines and were used largely as trading ships up until the colonial era. It is also the origin of the word barangay. The secondary burial bogwa ritual, which involves clay jars and wood coffins, can be found in A. Cordilleras. B. Tagalog Region. C. Panay Island. D. Agusan Province. The correct answer is letter A. Cordilleras. Bogwa is an ancient ritual in Ifugao, Philippines, where natives in Kiangan, Asipulo, Banawe, Lagawe, Hinyon, and Hungduan exhume their death as form of love and respect to their departed relatives. Bogwa, therefore, is a secondary burial ritual. They feast, celebrate, and offer prayers to the dead for 3 days. Who among the following artists painted the famous work, The Head of Christ? A. Gustav Klimt. B. George Rouault. C. Eugene Schiele. D. Henri Matisse. The correct answer is letter B. George Rouault. Reacting against an increasingly materialistic, secular society, Rouault dedicated himself to creating deeply spiritual art. To convey his emotional interpretation of the subject, he built up layers of rich color through thickly encrusted paint. Which of the following art styles involves the use of geometrical forms arranged to represent a subject? A. Dadaism. B. Realism. C. Cubism. D. Surrealism. The correct answer is letter C. Cubism. Cubism is an early 20th century avant-garde art movement that revolutionized European painting and sculpture and inspired related movements in music, literature, and architecture. Cubism has been considered the most influential art movement of the 20th century. The basic unit of music is called A. Accent, B. Beat, C. Dynamics, D. Tempo. The correct answer is letter B. Beat. Beat in music is the basic rhythmic unit of a measure, bar, not to be confused with rhythm as such, nor is the beat necessarily identical with the underlying pulse of a given piece of music, which may extend over more than a single beat. Dynamics is the loudness or softness of sound. Which of the terms describes the quality of sound? A. Melody, B. Rhythm, C. Texture, D. Timbre. The correct answer is letter D. Timbre. In music, timbre, also known as tone color or tone quality, is the perceived sound quality of a musical note, sound, or tone. Timbre distinguishes different types of sound production, such as choir voices and musical instruments. It also enables listeners to distinguish different instruments in the same category. Scale refers to succession of consecutive tones arranged in whole or half steps. Which of the following are arranged tones in succession to create a musical sense? A. Form, B. Harmony, C. Melody, D. Rhythm. The correct answer is letter C. Melody. A melody, also called tune, voice, or line, is a linear succession of musical tones that the listener perceives as a single entity. In its most literal case, a melody is a combination of pitch and rhythm, while more figuratively, the term can include successions of other musical elements such as tone color. How do you call a musical composition of motives that speaks out an idea in a musical composition? A. Motive, B. Phrase, C. Style, D. Timbre. The correct answer is letter B. Phrase. In music theory, a phrase is a unit of musical meter that has complete musical sense of its own, built from figures, motifs, and cells, and combining to form melodies, periods, and larger sections. A phrase is a substantial musical thought which ends with a musical punctuation called a cadence. Jed Madela has a high, brilliant voice. What is his voice classification? A. Alto, B. Bass, C. Soprano, D. Tenor. The correct answer is letter D, tenor. A tenor is a type of classical male singing voice whose vocal range lies between the countertenor and baritone voice types. It is one of the highest of the male voice types. The tenor vocal range extends up to C5. The low extreme for tenors is roughly A flat 2. If the tenor is the highest voice for men, which is the highest for female? A. Alto, B. Bass, C. Soprano, D. Tenor. The correct answer is letter C, soprano. A soprano is a type of classical female singing voice and has the highest vocal range of all voice types. The soprano's vocal range is from approximately middle C to high A. Despite becoming deaf, he is sometimes called the Prince of all composers. A. Beethoven, B. Chopin, C. Mozart, D. Schubert. The correct answer is letter A, Beethoven. Beethoven remains one of the most admired composers in the history of Western music. His works rank amongst the most performed of the classical music repertoire. His works span the transition from the classical period to the Romantic era in classical music. What period in music history shows a deep interest in love, beauty of nature, happiness, and is characterized by free-flowing freedom of expression? A. Baroque, B. Classical, C. Contemporary, D. Romantic. The correct answer is letter D. Romantic. The Romantic period started around 1830 and ended around 1900, as compositions become increasingly expressive and inventive. Expansive symphonies, virtuosic piano music, dramatic operas, and passionate songs took inspiration from art and literature. What is the structure of a melody basically built from? A. Dynamics, B. Rhythm, C. Scale, D. Tempo. The correct answer is letter C. Scale. In music theory, a scale is any set of musical notes ordered by In music theory, a scale is a set of musical notes ordered by fundamental frequency or pitch. A scale ordered by increasing pitch is an ascending scale, and a scale ordered by decreasing pitch is a descending scale. Who is the Filipino musicologist who participated in Musik Concerte? A. Nicanor Abelardo, B. Jose Maceda, C. Antonio Molina, D. Ramon Santos. The correct answer is letter B. Jose Maceda. As an ethnomusicologist, Jose Maceda investigated various forms of music in Southeast Asia, producing numerous papers and even composing his own pieces for Southeast Asian instruments. It refers to two songs with same harmonic structure. A. Descant, B. Ostinato, C. Partner song, D. Round song. The correct answer is letter C. Partner song. Partner songs are melodies which fit together in such a way that they sound good when performed together. They are melodies performed as independent musical voices. Because two or more melodic voices are performed at the same time, harmony is created. What is a musical form where the melody is repeated in all stanzas? A. Binary, B. Rondo, C. Ternary, D. Unitary. The correct answer is letter D. Unitary. Unitary songs are the songs that contain only one verse. In other words, unitary songs are called lullabies, also known as unitary form, verse repeating form, chorus form, triple A song form, or any one-part song form. There are basically 4 sections in a symphony orchestra. What section instrument is present in an orchestra but not in a marching band? A. Brass wind, B. String, C. Percussion, D. Woodwind. The correct answer is letter B. String. A marching band is a group of instrumental musicians who perform while marching, often for entertainment or competition. Instrumentation typically includes brass, woodwind, and percussion instruments. East Asian countries like Japan, China, and Korea uses a 5-tone scale called A. Diatonic, B. Chromatic, C. Heptatonic, D. Pentatonic. The correct answer is letter D. Pentatonic. A pentatonic scale is a musical scale with 5 notes per octave, in contrast to the heptatonic scale, which has 7 notes per octave. Pentatonic scales were developed independently by many ancient civilizations and are still used in various musical styles to this day. This is a famous string instrument of Japan, with 13 silk strings laid horizontally on a wooden plank. A. Biwa, B. Chin, C. Kayagum, D. Koto. The correct answer is letter D. Koto. The koto is a Japanese plucked half-tube zither and the national instrument of Japan. It is derived from the Chinese sheng and se, and similar to the Mongolian yatga, the Korean gayagum and ajang, the Vietnamese dantran, and the Sundanese kachapi and the Kazakhstan jetigen. This is a stage drama set to music with characters, costume, scenery, and orchestral accompaniment. This is A. Aria, B. Concerto, C. Opera, D. Overture. The correct answer is letter C. Opera. Opera is a stage drama set to music in its entirety, made up of vocal pieces with instrumental accompaniment and usually with orchestral overtures and interludes. In some operas, the music is continuous throughout an act. In others, it is broken up into discrete pieces or numbers, separated either by recitativo or a dramatic type of singing that approaches speech, or by spoken dialogue. Which of the following parts has a half-step interval commonly seen in a chromatic scale? A. Mi, Fa, B. La, Ti, C. Do, Re, D. Sol, La. The correct answer is A. Mi, Fa. The chromatic scale is a set of 12 pitches used in tonal music, with notes separated by the interval of a semitone. Almost all Western musical instruments, such as the piano, are made to produce the chromatic scale, while other instruments, such as the trombone and violin, can also produce microtones or notes between those available on a piano. Who among the following cultures traditionally uses the whole tone scale? A. Africa, B. German, C. American, D. Indonesian. The correct answer is letter D. Indonesian. In music, a whole tone scale is a scale in which each note is separated from its neighbors by the interval of a whole tone. In 12-tone equal temperament, there are only two complementary whole tone scales, both 6-note or hexatonic scales. In Indian and Hindu music, which of the following refers to a continuous, monotonous, and repetitive sound? A. Shruti, B. Tala, C. Raga, D. Drone. The correct answer is letter D. Drone. Drone music or drone-based music is a minimalist genre that emphasizes the use of sustained sounds, notes, or tone clusters called drones. It is typically characterized by lengthy audio programs with relatively slight harmonic variations throughout each piece. Microtones and ornamentations are common in Indian music. These are called A. Raga, B. Shruti, C. Tala, D. Rasa. The correct answer is letter B. Shruti. Microtonal music or microtonality is the use in music of microtones, intervals smaller than a semitone, also called microintervals. It may also be extended to include any music using intervals not found in the customary Western tuning of 12 equal intervals per octave. Which of the following musical instrument does not refer to Thailand musical ensembles? A. Gamelan, B. Kruang Sai, C. Mahori, D. Pifat. The correct answer is letter A. Gamelan. A pifat is a kind of ensemble in the classical music of Thailand, which features wind and percussion instruments. It is considered the primary form of ensemble for the interpretation of the most sacred and high-class compositions of the Thai classical repertoire, including the Buddhist invocation entitled Satukan, as well as the suites called Pliang Ruang. It is also used to accompany traditional Thai theatrical and dance forms including Kon, or masked dance drama, Lakon, or classical dance, and Nang, or shadow puppet theater. The rest is a musical symbol that represents silence, which symbol is used for tones. A. Bar line, B. Measure, C. Note, D. Tempo. The correct answer is letter C. Note. In music, a note is a symbol denoting a musical sound. In English usage, a note is also the sound itself. Notes can represent the pitch and duration of a sound in musical notation. A note can also represent a pitch class. Which of the following musical term refers to a shift of key signature within a music? A. Articulation, B. Modulation, C. Syncopation, D. Transposition. The correct answer is letter B. Modulation. Modulation is the change from one tonality to another. This may or may not be accompanied by a change in key signature. Modulations articulate or create the structure of form of many pieces, as well as to add interest. Treatment of a chord as the tonic for less than a phrase is considered tonicization. Treatment of a chord as the tonic for less than a phrase is considered tonicization. This refers to the music of Palawan composed of 3 flutes, drums, and batingting. A. Kalutang, B. Kulintangan, C. Palabuni-bunian, D. Tipanu. The correct answer is D. Tipanu. Among the tribal people of Palawan and Mindoro, a Tipanu group means an ensemble composed of flutes and drums. Who introduced the game volleyball in the Philippines? A. A.F. Halstead, B. William Morgan, C. Elwood Brown, D. Isaac Spratt. The correct answer is letter C. Elwood Brown. Elwood Stanley Brown was an American sports organizer in Illinois, Manila, Europe, and South America. In his short life, he made a number of major accomplishments: the intensive promotion of sports among Filipinos, originating international sports competition in Asia, the promotion of the Olympics around the world, the founding of the first Boy Scout troops in the Philippines, and initiating and organizing the American Expeditionary Forces Games and its corollary, the Inter-Allied Games at the end of the war in Europe. Microorganisms may be beneficial or disease-causing. Which of the following is not a microorganism? A. Bacteria, B. Mosquito, C. Fungi, D. Yeast. The correct answer is letter B. Mosquito. A microorganism or microbe is a microscopic organism which may exist in its single-celled form or colony of cells. The possible existence of unseen microbial life was suspected from ancient times, such as in Haini scriptures from 6th century BC in India. Emergency cases need immediate care treatment. Among the choices, which is not an emergency case? A. Heart attack, B. Appendicitis, C. Cancer, D. Seizure. The correct answer is letter C. Cancer. Cancer is a disease caused when cells divide uncontrollably and spread into surrounding tissues. Cancer is caused by changes to DNA. Most cancer-causing DNA changes occurs in sections of DNA called genes. These changes are also called genetic changes.